Well, hey there. I'm Brian. It's Bodie. Bodie the big brown bodacious bus. So we got questions for you. Are you considering wanting to do tiny living, tiny house living? And I don't mean just in the bus, but I mean there's yurts, there's tiny house on wheels on a trailer. There's many options. There's RV, right? The lists go on and on. There's even like sheds that you can live in, right? Sheds that you can convert into houses. Many, many options. Are you curious about this? And if you are, you know what? Let's have a conversation, because I've been living in this guy for about 4 months now. But beyond that, I've been researching tiny houses for many, many years. I'm currently building 2 tiny houses down here on this property where I am. I've built yurts, I've built greenhouses, I've built hoop houses, I've built all sorts of stuff. So when people are getting into the tiny house movement, they have lots of questions. And one of my favorite sayings is there's fantasy versus reality, and fantasy is always greater than what reality is. Always, always, always. And there's a fantasy around tiny living. There's a fantasy around bus life, van life. There's the Instagram lifestyle, and then there's reality, folks. So if you are being curious about tiny living, then stay tuned. I have a few questions to be asking you. I may not be telling you what to do, but there's questions. How are you going to be operating? Number one, here's the first thing to consider. How are you planning on operating in this environment? If it's a bus, do you want to travel? Is it regular travel? Where will you be parking? Will you be staying on land with friends? Will you be doing RV parks? Will you be doing BLM land? What are you going to be doing? How are you going to make money when you're on the road? This is number two. How are you going to make money when you're on the road? This is a really great question, because unless you have a good stock of things, most people do and can work remotely. So that's one option, right? Number three, are you doing it alone? Are you doing it alone? Or are you doing it with a partner? If you're doing it with a partner, there's a whole bunch of questions going on there. Operational things, this, that, and the other. You know, another question, if you are doing bus life, are you going to do a tow vehicle? That's a great question, because that hugely impacts a lot, right? And so these are just the beginning things to start to ask yourself. But the number one thing that I really want you to consider when you are considering living tiny is, well, why? Again, fantasy is so much greater than what reality is, right? So with that, get real clear on it. Know that it is not the fantasy that Instagram posts and puts up there. But if you really do want to delve deeper, I'm more than happy, and I would love to sit with you and ask you just a bunch of questions and support. And if you want to move into it, great. Let me help you jump into it, because it's not just where am I living, it's a whole lifestyle change, And with that, lots of things are different. And I'll just say the number one thing, and then I'll let you go. The number one thing that I did not think that I was going to have impact my life was the acute awareness of my use of resources. And what I mean is, there's solar on the bus. I have a 30-gallon water tank. I have to be really resourceful in how I use my resources. If I go over, bad things happen. Run out of water with no water to fill it up. Run out of solar, can't run things, right? So I never thought that I would be so acutely aware of my resource usage. And with that, that's one thing I've grown with. So regardless, I'm going to have more videos on this. This is just a primer. But regardless, here it is. Hope you enjoyed it. Click the like button, and I'll see you on the next one.